Mac cut him down.
I knew these men. Green Berets. Welcome to Predator Minute, the podcast that analyzes the 1987 action sci-fi classic Predator 1 minute at a time. I'm your host, John Zabriskie.
And I'm Jeff Glover.
And with us, we have returning champions from the Indiana Jones Minute.
Hello, I'm Tom Taylor.
Hey, I'm Gerry Porter. Thanks for having us back again.
Thanks for coming back. We really appreciate
so
you.
much for being here. Yes.
Sorry I was slow on the uptake. I'm snacking on entrails over here, and they're repeating on me a little bit. I apologize.
Delicious.
You really got to dig around in there.
Yeah.
Stuff, yeah.
It's worth it.
So, about that, minute 17 opens with Billy retreating from his exciting discovery, and it ends with Dutch telling Dylan that he knew these men.
Dylan!
Green Berets. And here we are actually having a minute where we're seeing a lot of stuff happen. We're seeing every single member of the team doing something in this short scene, this short reaction scene for everybody as they come across these bodies. Namely, Billy turns around and runs about 5 feet and just looks like he is exhausted already, emotionally and physically, looking up at apparently the rest of the team who, if you looked at the previous minute, you wouldn't know followed him all the way up because the previous minute did such a good job of just putting him by himself, making this discovery on his own. And that's where I'll open things up, as it were, Predator style.
Well, what if this was Predator's sort of Thanksgiving cornucopia feast, and it was really just an invitation to, I don't know, join him or something?
Oh, sure.
Like
Thanksgiving was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. He's trying to make peace.
Just with he's the interloper, he's the alien, so to speak.
He's the pilgrim.
Yes, that's right. He's a pilgrim, and he's kind of just, he just thought, well, let me share in the bounty and bountiful goodness. It's sort of a human cornucopia,
right? This
a
is
horn of plenty.
This is what you guys like, right? You like you, right? Just without the skin.
Yeah. There's no higher honor on my planet of serving you your own kind. So here you go.
When the
I love you
over,
guys.
the Predator will give everyone smallpox.
Yeah. Have some blankets.
I'll take your land.
I'll take your land, and here's some smallpox. God bless.
Got any gold? I'll take that too.
So we get some good. Finally, we get some good shots of the skinned bodies here. Kind of a shot from afar, and we really can see them in all their disgusting glory in these first couple seconds of the minute.
I've never felt worse for any extras in any movie.
At about second 3, we get a nice close-up of the kind of upside down, kind of skinned face with the skull and the mouth open. It's a really good horror gore moment, kind of the first moment.
Yeah.
Is that Hopper with the pretty smile?
They all have pretty smiles, Jerry. Now.
The one with his eye on you. I think that's meant to be Hopper. I think that's meant to be our guy, the main guy we're tracing through the jungle, who is also, or not the main guy we're chasing through the jungle, the main guy who we just found their tracks and wondered, like, who does this American equipment belong to? And like instantly find out, that's who it belonged to.
He does have that Hopper moxie in his eyes. You can see it's definitely Hopper.
It's more like a hanger to me. I don't know. He's more like a Jim Hanger. Didn't know him, but
with hanging around.
Nice.
If you have a character, and this is the only way he's introduced. You got a guy in the movie, a character. This is the way he's introduced to you, and then you name him Hopper.
Right?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Someone threw him in the hopper after, in the old human factory. Like, just throw it in the hopper.
I'm imagining.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying, I'm imagining like a pet bunny or something.
I knew this bunny.
Hopper. Oh, my Lord.
He was a Green Beret. So after
Jeff, go ahead, move us along.
Moving you guys along. After these first couple seconds, we find out that apparently Pancho is Catholic. Perhaps he does a nice little cross in front of his body with his fingers.
There are no atheists in the foxholes.
Yeah,
right, or he's only Catholic. Yeah, when.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I thought this was what the quote is "Holy Mother of God."
Holy Mother of God.
And I wondered, is that scarier? This is a very solemn moment here, and is that it's almost the exhale after we see all the classic gore. And when he says "Holy Mother of God," is that scarier than saying "Jesus Christ"? I think it is.
I think so. I think it really it's like a mouthful to say out there, and it also paints our soldiers as taken aback by this, not something that they're normally seeing on their missions.
Yeah,
and it's almost something like that you'd hear in like The Exorcist, or something. It has a sense of the supernatural. Like you really need to be, prostrate to whatever has just done this.
Right.
Yeah. You're not just uttering something like, "Oh my God," you're saying like, "Mother of God, I need help."
Yeah, exactly.
I need something holy. I need something
horrible is
cleansing.
happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ feels a little more vulgar, a little more, something to say day to day, but Holy Mother of God is a little heavier.
Yeah.
What else could he have said? He could have just gone, "Oh, jeez."
Could have gone, God.
There goes Hopper again.
God damn it.
Mice and rats.
If
we had a coach that used to say, "Cheese and crackers, son."
Oh my gosh. Yeah, my one of my other co-hosts, my brother Aaron, who hasn't been on for a long time, he says, thank you. He says cheese and rice occasionally.
Cheese and rice.
Cheese and rice. But Jerry, I don't know if you noticed the dog tag that Mac flings to Dutch. It says Hopper. It says his blood type, his social security number, I imagine, and then it says Catholic. It's kind of hard to see, but yeah, and I remember from the last Crusade minutes that you'd always go into some element of Catholicism, namely the saints, and the saints were just a fascinating piece, minute by minute. Something I always was excited to hear you explain, Porter. But that made me think right away, is there a famous saint? Because I'm going to tie it. Here's me artificially tying it into your minute. But is there a famous saint who is killed by skinning? And there was one of the 12 apostles, Saint Bartholomew, was skinned alive, beheaded, castrated.
Bartholomew.
He's a good apostle. He's spreading the word where I guess you shouldn't have spread it. So doing my own little Jerry.
He was the first Green Beret.
Yeah,
he was the first. Yeah, they got. I think they would try and sometimes, especially in the early church, they would kind of try and one up it. Jesus was crucified, and so Saint Peter was crucified upside down at his own request.
Rock and roll.
Kind of take it one other, and I guess if you're castrated, flayed, I mean,
Peter will now be crucified in a tank of water.
Will he escape?
They would.
Nope, just like the
others.
With
a straitjacket on.
With a straitjacket on. Boy, that's who you got a good eye. I didn't see that. Boy, there it is. Catholic.
I'm looking at it. I still don't see it, but I believe you.
Yeah, it's when Arnold fishes. We're jumping up a little bit when he fishes the dog tags out of the entrails.
Yeah,
and then
if you freeze on it, and then I looked up 1980s Army dog tags as you do, and it says it gives you the name, your soc, your blood type. So he's A positive, and it gives your religion.
Okay,
around second 43, we get a close up.
Yeah. It's a little bloody, so I can't read it.
It is. There's a lot of blood in this one. Yeah,
there's a lot of A positive blood on it, which is
Arnold tastes it. A positive. This is opera, all right.
Great A positive blood. I was reading about because as you do, I was reading about blood types, and A positive is the second most common blood type for what it's worth.
What's the one that's friends with everybody? O?
Is that O positive?
I think it might be O positive.
Or is it O negative?
I think I am, maybe.
Oh, then you're. You
guys want any blood?
You're supposed to donate all the time, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta go.
Did you guys discuss where this takes place? Is this supposed to take place in one of those 80s fictitious banana republics?
Yes.
Kind of like Commando?
It is, and they never say the name of the country.
Right.
The fictional country they're supposed to be in is Valverde, which they mention in Predator 2.
You're going to return to Valverde?
Have some beers in Valverde Matrix.
Excuse me, how long is the flight?
We land in Valverde in exactly 11 hours.
The events in this movie taking place, it's where Die Hard 2, if you remember the Generalissimo, they're trying to free from prison. He's supposed to be like the big general, the big Soviet general of the country of Valverde. So
well, is that the one from Commando too?
Yes, it is the one from Commando.
From Commando.
Yes.
So okay.
Yes.
All right.
So Arnold's been here before in a different life, a very slightly different life, like not that removed of a life.
I love how they chose Valverde as the name of the country. It sounds like the number 8 combination at Azteca. You know?
With chips.
But they threw a couple of classic 80s Russians in too.
Right.
Soviet. Yeah.
You always got to have the Russian big bad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a real smorgasbord of 80s.
That's how you know it's the bad guys. That's how you know it's the Soviet Union behind all this. Is look, a humongous Russian. It's the Soviets.
But see, that's what's so interesting. We have that whole setup at the first 20 minutes or 25 minutes, and then we have an alien.
Yeah. Hey, I have a great question, by the way. I'm watching the Mac digs in with his knife and picks up fishes out the dog tag from the entrails. But are the this has to be wrong. I'm going to say it looks like you see later that he yanks out Billy's spine and skull very dramatically. At the end. It almost looks like there's a spine in here, but maybe it's just a bunch of just good old fashioned.
I wondered that.
Go ahead. To me, it looks like the entire intestine just fell out like a diagram you'd find in a health book. It's like, this is the large colon.
Yeah.
It's like someone just dumped it there.
A Victorian health book. Those etchings couldn't be creepier.
Yeah, scratch and sniff style. Oh, those are the worst. Remember those?
This, for the 80s, this movie is surprisingly well gross.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's just,
not cheapy gross, not pink and fakey and plastic.
It has its own level of gore that is a little. It kind of stuck with me today in 2018.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, usually it looks ridiculous, and there's a few of those shots here, but there's something. I don't know. It's its own style. It looks stickier. Yeah, it looks like everything's humid and sinewy, and I don't know. It stands up as you're like, ugh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, those skin bodies are those are those look like someone was working on those bodies. It's not like a clean look like in Buffy where Willow rips the skin off that one guy. The scene, it looks so clean there. You're like, what am I looking at? But here it's yeah, I know exactly what I'm
There's a certain bubbliness to the entrails.
Yeah.
That it kind of that just it stuck with me.
Yeah, no, it's one of the things I love about this movie, and I love 80s movies in general and practical effects. And it's a gem when you come across a good practical effects heavy movie and the effects don't take away from the film, right? There are so many movies that have bad practical effects and they immediately will pull you out. But when it's done right, I think practical effects as compared to CGI are so much more effective. And this movie really nails it. I think I love this part when he's, it's disgusting, but when he's digging through the entrails, like it looks like he's digging through the entrails. Like it's gross.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think it's John McTiernan just really taking his big first chance really seriously, and he's treating his characters really seriously. So by the time they meet their ends, it's done in kind of like what Tim Gunn would say, like a tasteful way. It's not like
make it work.
We're just like hacking off limbs of them and like, well, except for Dylan, but they're all dying in different ways. But it's done in such a way where either off screen or on screen, like you're saying, Jeff, it's practical, but it's like and like Jerry is saying, it's just enough to make it like it was like how real were they aiming for this? Because they're hitting close enough where it's just eerie. Where like I don't really want to go in the woods for a while.
Well, if it's not good enough, then it looks fake and it pulls you out of the movie. Yeah. And if they go too far and there's blood flying everywhere, then then that feels fake, right? So they really hit the sweet spot, right? It's right there, that perfect spot in the middle. It's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. I think there's a couple, there's a foreshadowing I'll refer to earlier. So in an earlier minute, and I'll refer to Hawkins' foreshadowing here too, but in an earlier minute, they do come across the chopper that was downed. It's hanging in, these trees and these vines. And when Pancho and Dylan go in there, they're looking around and the chopper's been emptied. It's been stripped. It's been gutted essentially, and it's hanging in the vines. To me, that was a strong indicator of foreshadowing, along with some foreshadowing that we're making right now, where who's walking under these skinned bodies and looking up. It's the rookie. It's the green neck, the tenderfoot. It's Hawkins. He's looking up in wonder, and it just makes you think like, what's going through his mind? Like, gee, that'd be an awful way to die. That'd be terrible to be skinned and hung from a tree.
Well, what I think an interesting line is that's no way for a soldier to die.
Yeah,
meaning like, well, whoever's doing this is cheating. They're not playing by our rules, right? Yeah.
Has this guy not heard of the Geneva Convention? What's going on?
Yeah, because
it's got to be a chapter in there about flaying people.
Like no flaying, not even a little, like a little bit. Like nope.
Which I would like if we have a moment. Can we do a little round the horn here of what everybody's favorite line in the movie is? I know it's early. I know it's early, but Tom, favorite line in the movie?
I had a friend in high school, Stuart McGregor, who just quoted this movie constantly, and he always did Billy's little thing, where he's like, "There's a firefight, Major.
There was a firefight.
They're firing on all the records, but I can't find a single track." So I just have that in my head. And I think it's even slightly misquoted, but I'm quoting my friend doing it in 1987 as opposed to quoting the movie. So, but I love that. And I also love Arnold's, the CIA's got you pushing too many pencils.
So good.
It's so good. Dylan, you son of a bitch. Dylan!
What's the matter? The CIA got you pushing too many pencils?
These words come naturally out of my mouth. I'm talking like a person.
All right. Well, John?
I go back and forth, like seeing each minute over and over again. I have to go with the line "Stick around."
Stick around.
To me, it's just like we exaggerate. I mean, he says it like so casual and just so carefree in the middle of this firefight and in the middle of this movie. Which if you look at this movie like from afar, you're saying there's not going to be any room for any jokes, and really that's kind of like the last funny thing before we see Hawkins tell Billy a joke, and and Billy laughs at it. Those are like the last moments of humor in the movie, and for some reason that's just that one has always, I don't know, stuck around with me for some reason. Just to the point.
He almost looks at the camera when he says
does almost look at it. Yeah,
I did it. I got one.
He's so happy with himself. Like, I stuck that guy with that machete. And did anyone else see that? That was amazing.
Who's with me?
Shot. I love that line so much that my when it came time to give gifts to my best men at my wedding, my two brothers, Aaron and Zach, fun fact, Jeff here was the DJ at my wedding.
That's right.
Yeah, that I gave them my brothers each a pocket knife with engravings. My younger brother, Zach, he was a former co-host of the show also, naturally, because his last name is Zabriskie, so he's been on the show. But Zach Zabriskie, I gave him a knife that said, "It's dangerous to go alone. Take this," which is a quote from Legend of Zelda from the NES.
Nice.
And Aaron's, and this is whatever we're looking at 8 years ago. Aaron says, "Stick around." So it's been something that has been like the Predator. It's been like in my life, in and out, alongside the other scenes and movie quotes. But "Stick around" has just been the one that's just really, really stayed with me.
Jeff.
Yes. It's another classic line, but I always come back to Jesse Ventura saying that he's a goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus.
Goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus.
Because it's one of those things. When I was a kid, I was so confused by it. I didn't know what it meant.
I don't want to meet that kind of dinosaur. Not in any of my books, and I'm glad.
I knew what a Tyrannosaurus was. I had a vague idea of what sex was, and putting them together confounded me. I had no idea. And as I got older and watched it again, I still don't know what the fuck he means when he says that. But he says it with such confidence and conviction. I love it. Yeah, all the lines. All the lines from Jesse Ventura are just gold in this movie.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah.
I mean, does he know that the Tyrannosaurus is extinct? I mean, it's just sort of
tiny little baby arms.
It is. It's interesting. Tommy, you might know my favorite. Do you know my favorite? Do you want to take a guess at it?
I will just take a guess. Is it I Ain't Got Time to Bleed?
I ain't got time to bleed.
Well, that's interesting, and that, of course, would get honorable mention.
Okay.
I would say that might be the most famous line from this movie. Would it not be? I mean, it's put squarely. I didn't say the best, but
famous line, probably
maybe memorable for sure.
Name of his autobiography, actually.
I Ain't Got Time to Bleed.
Yeah,
but actually, my favorite was "I Wouldn't Waste That on a Broke Dick Dog."
I wouldn't waste that on a broke dick dog.
Yeah. Yes.
Because I wasn't sure if that was like an anti-spay and neuter thing. Like I didn't know where it was going. What would you wait? Like a broke dick dog.
Yeah.
Like but you would give it to a functional dick dog?
Yeah.
A dog with a functioning dick. Yeah, here you are.
Here you go,
You're
functional dick dog.
Yeah, you're good to go, you functioning dick dog. Yeah.
They're functional.
Congratulations.
Hey, dog, is your dick functional? Yes? Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done.
And then, I mean, a dick has more than one function, so what are we talking about?
Now you're getting the sexual Tyrannosaurus territory.
Yes, territory, I know. So.
Who would win in a fight between a sexual Tyrannosaurus and a non-broke dick dog?
I'm going to start a website arguing my side and make everyone mad on Twitter.
It's what the first like 12 or 15 minutes of this movie is so insanely over the top with this manly, spitting,
so
chaw on boots and sexual tyrannosauri or whatever, and then
chewing tobacco and spitting on each other's boots.
Yeah,
exactly. And then
great.
Like the stick around, and I wouldn't waste that on a broke dick dog. They stop the movie every once in a while to deliver one of these, one of these lines that, they stick out like that snail on a branch.
Yeah.
Just, and it doesn't always make sense. But you love it.
But it lands. Yeah, you love it.
Yeah, but it lands with not a thud, but with an explosion.
With this cultural explosion. My theory is that looking at the original script, the 85 script versus the movie, I mean, so much of those little stick-arounds and I Ain't Got Time to Bleed were just, they're just added on set. They're there in the jungle. It is hot and humid and uncomfortable. Everybody having diarrhea from drinking the vine water.
Right.
They're just throwing this together for the most part. And that's what makes this that's what makes this movie so beautiful to me. It's just like we're patching it together here and there, and you watch the behind the scenes, you're like, oh, everybody is over the top also explaining how hard it is to film there. You see every scene, anytime they're moving across the jungle, they're going uphill or they're going downhill. There's no flat area. So yeah, I think the lines are a great way for them to just kind of blow off some steam, Bennett.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you wonder how much Shane Black had to do with that, just being a funny, quality writer on set. I wonder how much of those lines he filled in for them.
He says he just added the 2 pussy jokes. He said he still stands by that to this day, that he only added those 2 jokes and everything else in the script looked really clean and neat.
His job is done then. Yeah.
His job is done here. Maybe we just kind of put him up with Hoppa.
Yeah.
And speaking of those 2 pussy jokes, with everybody having a superpower, and that's his, that's that character's. Is Arnold's character the fact that he's circumspect? Is that his superpower that he's circumspect?
You're gonna have to remind me what circumspect means. I'm like an English teacher, and I totally.
What is circumspect? Careful to consider all circumstances and possible consequences. Prudent.
Oh, I could see that. I've always thought of him as just the kind of like the Boy Scout, like Dylan Moxham, or later on being really inventive and just
But I mean,
preparing for success.
All these other guys are swimming in bravado and that sort of thing, and Arnold's the one who doesn't really play that game. He's skeptical of everything. He only does rescue missions or whatever. He's not in this job, and here he is.
We are a rescue team, not assassins.
Yeah, I guess that's his, he considers the consequences. He's not rash.
Yeah,
he's not spitting chaw. Right. He's not telling pussy jokes liberally.
Right.
I don't think you could survive as leader of this group like that. I think you have to have the leader be kind of like the calm opposite, the antipode of all this hijinks and M134 miniguns.
Yeah, and he knows what to say to all his crew members to make them calm, right? He's sort of the father figure. He's the guy in charge. I mean, John and I talked about this back in a couple minutes ago when he has a conversation, and everything he says is to just reassure
Panchito.
Who was it? Oh, that's right. It was Pancho.
Pancho.
Yeah, everything he says is to reassure Pancho, and as soon as Pancho walks out of the scene, his face kind of drops and his eyes droop, and you see him dart around, and you can tell he's worried, but he did not let that on at all to Pancho. So, and you see him do this several times with lots of different characters. And I don't know, I've talked about how I think I have a man crush on Arnold in this movie. He's just so good. His acting, I think it's really underrated, his acting in this movie.
One thing he should not do, though, and he does it in this minute, is he shouldn't stand with his mouth open for a long time. When Mac tosses him the dog tag and he catches it, and he's got his mouth open just a little bit, and he just looks pretty silly,
you're right,
and pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Dog tags. Where'd Hopper go?
Yeah, his lips are kind of half open.
Yeah.
I wonder if he sounds like
I'm holding dog tags,
but not.
So that's just the low,
right? Not like all the way, not like.
Right.
But just
he turns the down to like 4.
Right.
Background.
It's Catholic.
He never told me he was Catholic. Fantastic. He's Catholic.
Yeah, I'm a Catholic.
Catholic.
This is now the podcast. We just sit around and go.
Yep.
All right, John. Do you have anything else in the show notes here? We've kind of covered the extent of the minute, I think.
Sure. I mentioned to you guys. I'm probably cut it out last minute, but I mentioned that every episode or so, I'm looking at this 1982 field manual for the Army, specifically for jungle operations. And I look at it for different parts to see how it would relate to some of the things they're doing in the movie, some of the scenes we see, some of the things we come across. And when we come across the downed chopper earlier, and he mentions, took him out with the heat seeker.
Took him out with the heat seeker.
The field manual had earlier stated, and I made a mention of this, but the field manual had stated, do not hover in the over the jungle in the chopper because you could be taken down by small arms fire or heat-seeking missiles. And that's one of those things that stood out to me. Maybe the Thomas brothers who wrote the script, maybe they're consulting the manual here and there for what to look out for and what to do. And something that I found on page 7-10, it says grave registration. It's talking about, if you have someone who falls in the jungle, someone who dies in the jungle, make sure to bury them right away, partly to prevent their deterioration out in the open, but also because it can have a profound effect on troop morale. And I can't help but think that, right, having these bodies hanging up over you is it is instantly changing the tone of this movie from it's we're tracking these soldiers or these cabinet minister and his aide, and chasing the guerrilla trail. And we're going to have this classic 80s showdown to all of a sudden whoa. That's no way for a soldier to die. What is happening? This is not standard operating procedure for us making our way and confronting our enemies head on.
Well, hence invoking the Mother of God.
Right.
Mother of God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's a couple clicks higher. Serious.
It is.
Yeah.
And we see the story escalate here in the previous couple minutes leading up to this one. They find the downed helicopter. Okay, that's scary. Then they go inside the helicopter and there's 2 dead bodies in there. Okay, so now we're up to the next level. Now a minute later, they crawl through the jungle and they find skinned bodies hanging from the trees. So the pace at which things escalate, intensifies rather quickly. So going from oh shit to oh god damn it shit. What the hell is going on now? Why are there skinned bodies hanging from the trees? And it kind of leads into, now we know that whatever we're dealing with is not just some guerrillas, right? This is something bigger, something more sinister.
Not only just rousing up their nerves, but also, possibly, right, if I'm just talking about this minute, I'm going to predict that it's going to make them even more just ready to take on any forces they come across. You're going to do this to our guys. We're not going to take any prisoner. There's not going to be any quartering, or there's not going to be quartering. There's not going to be any mercy given to the enemy. If you're going to play this way, then
they all glance at their watches and realize that it is payback time.
Payback time.
Another Jesse line. My God. Payback time. Right, and that's future minute. That's when we meet our next character. I can't wait to talk about the minigun. Oh,
yes,
Mr. Painless.
Old Painless out of the bag.
There's it sounds like there's something clement about that, I guess, in the sense that I guess if you're killed by that, there's a certain clemency, I guess, if you're chewed up by it because it's so quick. Is that why it's painless?
Because you're being hit by however many.
You're just chewed up, and it's as opposed to being flayed or having your arm shot off.
Yeah,
or
Old Painless is it has to be a callback to the right? The gun they kill Old Yeller with at the end of that story.
Oh.
Right? Isn't the rifle called Old Painless in that novel?
Is it really?
Wow, I didn't know that.
I have no idea. I never read Old Yeller.
Wow,
it was too much.
they've really upgraded Old Painless.
What happened to Old Yeller? Oh my god!
Yeah, this is Old Painless, like
There's bits of Old Yeller all over the farm.
There's bits. Holy Mother of God!
Mother of God, Paul! What'd you do?
Old Yeller 2, The Revenge.
We're not even sure he was sick, Paul.
Oh man!
I'll address the script a little bit here.
Okay.
Last minute, I mentioned I found it. I found the older script, not the 1987 17th draft, but the first draft from the year 1985. And in the 1985 script, there are a whole lot of things that change from there to the movie. Namely, almost everybody character-wise has a different name, has a slightly different makeup, a different moxie. Billy is in fact a Central American Indian. He is not United States American. He's clearly from around that region that they are in. Billy, in fact, survives, and he's the one who goes to the chopper. Spoiler alert for Anna and every other character.
Interesting.
Plot-wise, like a huge difference is that they, going into the jungle in the original script, knew about Hopper following the down chopper. They knew that there were CIA men in the chopper when it was originally downed. So unfortunately in that script, that means we're surprised a lot less when they come across the guerrilla camp. They come across the executed hostages being CIA agents and not the cabinet minister. And I really like how they switch those things around for the movie, and it's more surprises for us. Along with the alien, we also see we see the change in what they thought they're getting into versus what they actually wade into.
I'm surprised no one mentioned the symbolism of the vulture getting kicked away. It's like those guys up there in the trees might be dead, but me, no, I'm not dead yet, and I'm going to kick away this symbol of my mortality.
Oh my goodness! Like this harbinger.
Yeah.
And who's kicking it? It has to be Hawkins kicking it, right? Because Hawkins the one strolling up there above the guts. I think it's Hawkins, and he of the crew. He's the next one to, or he's our first one we lose.
Oh yeah, he's the first to die. That's right. Yeah.
Maybe because he kicked the vulture. Well, the vulture's just vulturing. Yeah. Once again, hubris.
Payback time.
Yeah, payback time. I have one question. Can somebody explain to me the utility of Billy's hat? I don't understand these types of hats. It's an Aussie hat.
It's a good hat.
I looked it up. I didn't say it wasn't a good hat, but if you're looking, it has a brim in the front and a brim in the back, and both sides are curled upwards. And so is that only for the man who's facing the sun or directly facing away from the sun?
It's party in the front and the back and the side on the other side.
It's all party all the time. Well, Blaine is wearing a hat that's kind of similar. It's that Australian Army soldier hat where it's meant to be put up at the side so you can shoulder your rifle. And now why Blaine has that, I'm not really sure, because Blaine is... right. You never see any of them shoulder anything. It's always just at the hip, held, using the iron sights. So I'm not really sure why they have the funky hats. I think it's just kind of giving him like a little bit of his own look. Like everybody has a different hat. I mean, even Dylan, who has just in my mind, he has the most ridiculous looking triad hat. He's trying to blend in, and it's so obvious by his outfit. Too. He's like, I'm one of you guys. Yeah, I'm a tough guy.
Although I don't want to make fun of Carl Weathers. I love Carl Weathers, and I love that I get even just a few seconds of him in this minute.
Absolutely.
We'll delete all this so I can ask him on this.
Yeah, we do only get a split second of Carl Weathers, and he's got that like high, like almost baseball cap looking hat. Solid green.
That's what they call it in the script. They do call it a baseball cap.
And then Dutch has no hat.
No.
He starts with that hat. If you remember, like when he's first dropped off by the chopper, he's wearing like this kind of black I don't know what you call it, like a cadet hat, I think is what it was called at the time. But then like after that, he's just totally doffed it. He's hatless.
He needs no hat.
He needs no hat. It's how you know he's the one who's going to live, right? It's like, who's wearing a hat? Everybody.
Yeah.
And those skin bodies.
Right.
They're going to make it. A little bit of trivia, a couple little name tidbits is that Jim Hopper, the name of the leader of the Green Berets strung up here, is also the name of the sheriff played by David Harbour in Stranger Things. And yeah, looking at the Stranger Things wiki, it even says, like in its own trivia section for Jim Hopper of Stranger Things, it says his character and look is based on Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones and Han Solo, which
that's funny.
I was thinking I had to put that in there. There's another time.
Yeah. I didn't even know they were going to say that, because there's this, I don't know if you watched the show, but there's a scene in season 2 of Stranger Things where he does the full, like, Indy reaching in at the last second and grabbing his hat back kind of move.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
I watched season 2 like a few months ago, and I guess I forgot.
I have. I forgot about that until you just mentioned it. Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah.
That's awesome. Great show.
Stranger Things, yeah.
Stranger Things show. Okay. And the last little name tidbit I have to leave you guys with is that something I think I was talking with Jeff or someone else a few minutes ago, but we were talking about, like, do these predators have names? Like, certainly they go back to their planet Yautja Prime and they address each other by whatever name. And online, the kind of colloquial term for this predator in the jungle is not just jungle hunter, it's anytime. And I think that is an awesome name. If you're going to be named anything, just call me.
Wow. Sounds like a wrestler. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have.
Don't think his name is like Steve or something.
I'm so embarrassed. I've been calling him over here this whole time.
So I don't know if I want to roundtable this or not, but if I were, let's pretend I am, and you guys are here, why not? What would be your predator name
for me, or what I think? What I would think his name would be? This predator.
Let's go. If you were one of these cool alien hunters, what would you name yourself besides just Tom? Maybe there's something more to Tom. Like
I would just I wouldn't kid around. I would just be IG-88. I would just call myself IG-88. Because who's going to argue with me
for the bounty angle?
Yeah,
oh my
bounty
God, that's
hunter.
Awesome.
Yeah, for trophies. I'd go with Stickypaws.
That's her name here on Earth.
That'd be me, yeah. And the real challenge would be, like making that menacing.
Yeah.
Be like,
right.
Oh my God, it's Stickypaws.
What are you talking about? Stickypaws? Oh my God, I'm gonna kill.
And then there's like it's like 4 guys who are completely freaked out, grown men,
you
green
can't
berets.
escape Stickypaws.
And there's one guy who's just laughing like, you gotta be kidding.
Right. Kill me first. I can't keep a straight face. Just go ahead, Stickypaws.
I hope he didn't bring Bunny Bottom with him.
I don't know, Jeff. What would you go with?
Oh man, I don't know. So one of my favorite things from the Predator universe is in Predator 2. There's me and John have talked about this. I love Predator 2 because it's not a great movie, but it is a great movie. And there's a scene when the Predator is climbing down the side of a building, and the camera kind of zooms in on the Predator's face, and he does like the and like his jaws open up really wide, and he makes like a weird sound, and it looks really bad, and it always cracks me up, and it makes me think that in that moment that Predator is actually just like a 5-year-old Predator girl, and so maybe my name would just be like Sally or something.
Sure. Sally, get down from there.
Yeah, well, Sally.
Jeff, I really need to hear that sound again. Give it to me one more time.
And the camera zooms in and the Predator's eyes get wide and it looks oh man, that's great.
I'm supposed to be in bed.
Oh, that's good stuff. That's my bedtime hunting fools in the city.
All right, John, it's back to you.
Yeah. In terms of names, it's one of those things, Jerry, I don't know how you do it so often where you ask a question, then you're just like, boom, you're ready. Or I ask a question, I'm like, and I'm a teacher, so like I don't always have the answers. I'm usually like, I'll ask the students, and I'll pretend like I'm doing all the like I'm the smart one, but I never answer the question. I would just go something corny. I'd go like the claw or something like that. No. I would go the Viper. And then people would be like, the Viper? You mean like that? And as they're trying to process, like, you mean that corny like thing where they come and wipe your windows, but you have that accent like in G.I. Joe? Like the Vipers? And then boom, they're dead. It's like, it's the Viper. Oh, yeah.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice.
The Viper. Right. Well, I'll add in a much more creative way. Anyway.
John, I think we have gotten through all of our notes here.
Yeah, I think we've killed it, so to speak, like Sally.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd say the last little bit I'm going to put on is just here at the very end of the minute, Arnold leading us into the next minute, about to tell us where he knew this man or these men. I can't really tell from his accent, but he's doing some great little aside acting. I always love that in the movies. It's a very movie or play thing to say like, hey, let's have this conversation away over here, away from the rest of the gang. But I've always liked that, to be like, oh, we're going to be in on something private that nobody else is. So that's my last little bit of Arnold props. So yeah, do you guys have anything else for this minute?
I just hope everyone's okay. I hope everyone gets out of this all right. Yeah. I'm a little worried.
Yeah, I think they're going to be fine. Okay. Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've spilled my guts. What? Give me the room.
Oh yeah, you need the drum beat, John. Where's the drum beat?
Oh jeez. There we go. So then Jerry went and made the worst pun he could.
It was a sad day for the podcast.
Okay.
And
they thought Jerry would be fun
missed
on
his
show.
opportunity.
Right. We all lost, no matter who won.
Do we want to end with some recommendations and then close it out?
I think it'd be fun. So Jeff and I don't know. Jeff and I would listen to a lot of other movie podcasts, and when they're the weekly variety, a lot of times they'll talk about anything they've seen or read or just like really done that they would recommend to listeners. And last week we were talking, and Jeff, you recommended. Do you remember what you recommended?
I think I recommended the TV show Homecoming on Amazon Prime. Yeah,
and I was recommending the anime Castlevania on Netflix for kind of an interesting tie-in that you really have to listen to those last 5 minutes of that episode to really understand the tie-in to Carl.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys want, do you have any recommends you'd like to throw our way or throw the audience's way?
I was really into on Netflix The Haunting of Hill House. That series. It's very, very good.
I've watched it. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Surprisingly good.
Horror movies are definitely my blind spot, just because I'm so easily scared from watching movies. Just, this movie, for example, like just made me scared of the woods for a while, for a good while, kind of like people watching Jaws, right? And being scared of the ocean. I'd be terrified after like watching this movie as like a 9-10-year-old, like hiking all over the place with the Boy Scouts, and with my dad just I don't want to hear any weird noises. But all right, so Jerry, you have a recommend?
I just started watching Narcos Mexico, and I love that. I really dig that. As a matter of fact, after I watched the very first one, I bought a ticket and went to Colombia. I just went by myself to Colombia. I was like, I love Narcos. I was like, this is amazing, man. I got to go to Colombia.
Like, I got to go get a bunch of cocaine?
I mean, I didn't take it that far.
Did you get off the plane like, hey, I heard you guys have cocaine?
Say, I watched this show. No. So, I've been watching that, and that's cool. And as far as podcasts, I love the Hardcore History podcast.
I love Dan Carlin.
Dan Carlin, it's amazing. Yeah, and I've listened to a whole bunch of them, and I've yet to listen to a whole bunch of others. So I'm excited to dive back into that.
Nice.
I love those episodes that he tackles. Yeah,
he's mesmerizing.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's great. He's exactly the guy that you wish taught you history all the time.
Right.
It's riveting, and he's not obsessed with dates and that sort of thing. It's more like the hows and the whys, and isn't it crazy, and it's ironic because this happened, and he brings it to life.
And I love that stuff. When I was first listening to podcasts back in the day, that was one that you could just his podcasts are so long that it'd just be so easy to just put on one of those episodes and go about your business for seriously half the day.
Yeah.
Like his like Rome podcast for like 4 or 5 hours, and you're just learning so much. You just think, I should really be taking notes like a college student. Like I'm going to miss so much of this. So much of this is going to just leave. But yeah, it's an awesome recommend. Thanks, Gerry. Gosh, let's see, my recommend would be the novel Tarkin by James Luceno. It's one of the canon novels after Disney bought up Star Wars. I don't know. I kind of geek out about the whole political side of Star Wars. So if you like that side of things, not the trade route taxation and the Senate meetings, it's really just really focusing on Tarkin's relationship with the Emperor and with Vader before the events of Star Wars, the motion picture. And I highly recommend it. Them just kind of planet hopping and seeing different alien races, and Vader being a badass and choking out dudes just for making them angry. It's a great read. Tarkin.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. For my recommend, I'm going to go with a movie this time. Since we are doing a podcast about an action movie, I saw an action movie recently that kind of blew my mind. It was called The Night Comes for Us. It went straight to Netflix. It stars the guy who was in The Raid and The Raid 2, if you've ever seen those movies. Some of the greatest action movies ever made. And The Night Comes for Us is unbelievably violent and bloody and is wall to wall. I'm serious. The movie starts, and for the first 45 minutes, the action does not stop. It's like the first 45 minutes is an action sequence that doesn't end, and it's really violent, but really amazingly choreographed and shot. I can't believe it was just dropped onto Netflix. It's really, really good. The Night Comes for Us. Check it out. Yeah,
it has those fight scenes that go on for like 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes, and by the end of the fight scene, just the walls and the floor are bloodied, and the hero and the bad guys are bloodied.
Did you watch it, John?
I did watch it on your recommend a couple weeks ago.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
It was one of those things where I had it like, I think, playing, because it's it's all not dubbed, it's all subtitled because they're not speaking English. So I just had it on while I was editing an episode, and it would just be one of those things where I'd look over on the other monitor and just like, I just have to watch it. We're gonna have to watch this. Maybe I'll put off the editing and not do such a good job.
Oh man, it's so good. I forgot we talked about that before, didn't we? It's so good. Yeah, I'd highly recommend checking it out.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the recommends, guys. I appreciate that. It gives us some other things to look into.
Thank you.
And thanks for being on the show. Talk about where we can find our fine guests. So take it away, Jones.
Jones!
Jones! Yeah, Gerry, you take it this time.
We guys do what you guys do, but we do it with the Indiana Jones movies, and you can find us at indianajonesminute.com. We have recently completed The Last Crusade, and we're working on talking about Crystal Skull 1 minute at a time. So that's what's going on there. You were also on Facebook at the Indiana Jones Minute Listeners Crusade, which has a lot of Indiana Jones, just general fans, and it's really funny, and God, they're hysterical there. Just funny pictures and just, kind of ridiculous theories, and it's a lot of fun. So that's what we do.
I like where every once in a while someone will kind of snarkily put up the picture of R2-D2 and C-3PO and the hieroglyphs. Like, did you guys know this? Like, I think Alex Robinson did that either in your page or on the Star Wars page. It was just so funny. Like, did you guys know this? It's just hilarious that Alex is the one doing it. But also like seeing like the Kenner play sets lately, like those kind of throwback pieces to like, hey, remember here's where they're discovering the Ark and all the little cool action figures and set.
It's fun. There's a great movie by minute community, and it's fun. There's people actually all over the world contribute, and it's actually one of the best parts of doing these podcasts, is meeting people just from different places and hearing really funny ideas about the movies, ridiculous stuff.
Oh, it's so good. I just love it so much and I think with Predator and now Hot Fuzz being covered, and you guys covered Last Crusade, Star Wars has been covered. I think my top 4 or 5 movies have now received the movie by minute treatment, which is just so neat. It's just something I love hearing people dive into some of the same things. Yeah, and I would even go on the Crusade. I'm asking questions here and there when you guys are posting the episodes. Yeah. If you want to see all the list of the movies broken down by minutes, you can go to moviesbyminutes.com. At last glance, being right now when I type it up, we have 115 current podcasts covering movies. Whoa. That's not 115 movies. That's 115 podcasts, with each podcast probably on average hitting upon, 1.5 to 2.5 movies. So you spread that out, and a lot of movies have been covered, but that also means that a lot of movies have yet to be covered. So, if something floats your boat that, you want to really analyze and share your ideas, grab some buddies, grab some podcasting equipment, pretty simple. And then, put it out there, start putting it out there. It's really thrilling. So Jeff, what about you, co-host? Where can people find you? Your favorite part of this?
You can find me on Twitter at Carl_Hungus.
My name is Carl Ishbin Expert.
Please don't flood my accounts. I don't want my servers to crash here. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Jeff Glover. You can find me.
All right. If you have, I don't know, how would you say it? What's from this minute? This is so gruesome.
If you have dug dog tags out of the entrails of a suspended skinned body, please.
And who hasn't?
Yeah, please email us.
PredatorMinute@gmail.com. You can also let us know these gruesome stories publicly on Twitter and Facebook at Predator Minute, and we're on all your podcatching services. So for Predator Minute, I've been John Zabriskie.
I'm Jeff Glover.
Oh, I'm Tom Taylor.
Hey, I'm Gerry Porter.
And until next time,
stick around.
Is your cat destroying your furniture? Then you need Stickypaws. Stickypaws is a revolutionary way to control cats' behavior. It's economical, simple to use, and really works. Just remove a sheet of Stickypaws from package, peel strip from brown application sheet, and place sticky side down anywhere you don't want Kitty to be. Just smooth it on, crack and peel the white backing, and your totally transparent Sticky Paw strip is now in place.